Good morning, travelers. It's Laura here, and I wanted to talk to you just a little bit today about planning for your Thanksgiving or your Christmas, your Hanukkah, whatever your holiday celebrations that are coming up. Maybe you have a family that does a big dinner for Christmas Eve, or you're just trying to figure out how to do that turkey in a couple weeks with all your extended family and know that the things you feed your family are safe while all your relatives are really there for the mac and cheese and the stuffing and the things that you can't have if you're gluten-free or dairy-free like we are. So today I'm going to give you 5 tips to do a little planning for your holiday with families. We are going from New Jersey to Texas for Thanksgiving, and I've had to do a little bit of pre-planning because it's a totally different state. It's not like we're just going to families for one meal. And so we are trying to scope out restaurants in the area. We're trying to scope out grocery stores that we can do a little pre-shopping, but we'll be staying in a hotel, so we won't have more than a mini fridge accessible to us. And so we're going to tell you how, even with those limitations, you can have a great family holiday dinner. Tip number 1 is to plan the rest of your vacation so that only that big holiday meal that you've got in your head as the thing that has to be perfect and just like it's always been. I don't know about your family if it's always perfect. I don't know that ours is always perfect, but you have an idea, a preconception of what that special meal is supposed to be. So let's talk about getting the rest of your trip in order so that you don't have to worry about more than just that one meal. To get ready for our trip, I have joined a Facebook group specifically for gluten-free in the city that we are visiting to get ideas for what restaurants in the area are safe. And then I've also scoped out both a Whole Foods where I could place a pre-order or a Trader Joe's in case anyone in my family is willing to do a grocery run before we get there. Because we are getting there Wednesday night and Thanksgiving is the very next day. And so we are looking out for what restaurants might be open on Thanksgiving Day for breakfast. And we did find one by dining at the resort we will be staying at. They are always open no matter what day, whatever holiday. You can stick with the resort restaurant. And then we are scoping out what grocery stores in the area are open till at least noon or 2 on Thanksgiving so we could pick up a few things on our way to that family holiday dinner. Plan the rest of your time there, and not just food. I want to point that out. You can plan good activities in the city you're going to so that food doesn't become the event of the weekend. You can make it more about going to the parade or going to see a tree lighting or going to see whatever fun thing, and bring your family members with you so that it's not, our one chance to see the aunts and uncles and cousins is Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner. Say, no, we're going to bring, those cousins with us to go to that event. We're going to go ice skating. And then it's not just about food. That's really important, is to start shifting your focus away from food being an event. And this is true once you go gluten and dairy free. You kind of need that to be a rule of thumb when you go on cruises, when you go on vacations, when we go to Disney. We still have great food, but if you can make your activities the focus instead of your food the focus, you will just be happier in the long run. It's a better mindset to be in. So go with that. Just like we recommended in the road trip video, you should use Find Me Gluten Free and use Google to find some local businesses. That will be a great resource for you. And actually, I got really lucky in both South Carolina and with this trip to Texas that I not only found bakeries that worked for us, but I found the suppliers that always had a list of where their baked goods were sold. So I identified just through Google what was the kind of go-to gluten-free, allergen-friendly wholesale bakery in the area. And then there was a whole list of what coffee shops they supply. And so we know that, like, if we're at my grandparents' house, this coffee shop is nearby that should have snacks we can have. But if we're at our resort over here, there's also other coffee shops that work for us, so we can find a wide range. I found this to be true in a lot of cities we visit. So look for those wholesalers, and you can find a list of businesses that they provide. Step number 2 is to pick out just a few things that are your must-haves for that holiday dinner. I asked my kids, what do they absolutely need? One of them said sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top. One of them said mashed potatoes. And those are both tricky things because a lot of times other people will load those up with sugar and butter and things that we're gonna try to minimize in our family. We would do a non-dairy butter substitute if we were making mashed potatoes. So those are two things that I'm planning on making myself. And it's especially helpful that the ingredients for those I can simplify down to plain potatoes and plain sweet potatoes and a few other household basics that someone can pick up for me before we get to town without too much trouble. They don't have to go to some specialty grocery store to get them. Our family is pescatarian, so we won't be eating the turkey. And so I've decided to make things really simple by opting to have my mom pick up salmon before we get there, and then we can throw that in an air fryer and it's ready in 15 minutes, and we can have protein alongside the rest of our family without causing a fuss. So if you are vegan and you need a substitute for that turkey, if you are gluten-free and you're not sure if they're putting stuffing in there, just pick the one or two. For us, it's more like 3 or 4, but that's not overload. 3 or 4 is doable items that are just must-haves, and make those possible for you. And if you can find shortcuts, do it. Air fryers or shortcuts. I know my grandmother has an air fryer, so I can make a side dish just for us, lickety split. And one of the shortcuts that I'm leaning on is to pre-order food to my grandmother's house. So I initially was hoping to find a bakery, doing all of my research from step 1, planning my trip out. I was planning on picking up things at a local bakery that was gluten-free with dairy-free options. And turns out that timing didn't work out and I couldn't figure out how to do the pickup because we get there so late. And so I said, I'm just gonna order it to be shipped. And the benefit of that is that you can order it from anywhere. So we looked at local places, but we also looked at places near us. And I ended up picking a bakery in New Jersey that can send an apple pie and some whole grain rolls and things that work for our diet and get shipped to my grandmother's, delivered 2 days before Thanksgiving, and she's just gonna pop them in the freezer until we get there. So utilize some of those. Admittedly, those will be your pricier items, but it will give you convenience, and it's just this one time a year when you need that big meal. I'm not saying I'm gonna order, the extra shipping on dry ice on a regular basis, but it's the holidays, and every once in a while you gotta splurge. And I wanna mention, you do not have to cook for all of your extended family. I am not about to be making 20 gluten-free multigrain dinner rolls. At best, I'm making sure my family is fed. I mean, that's 5 people, that's no small feat. And if there are a few left over, that's great. It'll get added to the table. But I am gonna kind of protect the things that I'm making to make sure that my kids are covered before it all gets grabbed up. Step number 3 is pick your point person. Find an advocate. We thought maybe this was going to be an aunt or an uncle. By default, if there's someone in your family who becomes the point person for the whole family planning the trip, for us, it's often one of my aunts, they might have a hard time also being the point person for you and your dietary restrictions. So pick somebody else who's going to understand how you're eating and help you make that happen. For us, my mom will also be traveling to Texas from South Carolina, but she gets there a few days before us. So I know I could place a Whole Foods order to have her pick up, or I could give her a list of things to get at Trader Joe's. And so we're gonna have a quick phone call and work out some of the details of that. For step 4, I know you have your advocate, you have your point person, but if you can, think about 1 or 2 other people that can also supplement some of your meal. So I, for example, have an uncle who used to eat raw food vegan. So I know that he understands if I say I need some dairy-free veggies. I'm not telling him he has to make food for us, but I'm just gonna give him a quick text message, super easy, and say, hey, by any chance, if the items you're bringing this Thanksgiving are veggies, just know that our family is dairy-free, and it would be super helpful if those veggies you made could be made without dairy. I'm not telling him he has to, but I just have identified those 1 or 2 people that might get it, that I could ask. I'm not going to reach out to my cousin who I never see and we just don't happen to spend a lot of time interacting together. But maybe if I mention it to my aunt, her mom, the news might trickle down. So either think about who are those people who can have you in mind as they inform other family members, Or who are those people who understand special diets in some form or fashion and might be able to help you just a little bit? Because I'm not asking them to make me gluten-free pies. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, because you have those 3 or 4 must-have items that you took care of, and so you're good to go. Step 5 goes back to step number 1, but to plan big meals for before and after. I know traditionally for Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Day, you have like a cinnamon roll for breakfast, and then you don't eat all day because you know that this is going to be the epic meal to end all meals, the best of the year. And it's okay if it's not that. It's okay if it's a few tastes of those things you like, because you're going to have a big breakfast and you're going to go home afterwards and have some dinner. For us, we have identified places that we can go. I mentioned we're going to our resort restaurant for breakfast, and they have been fantastic, letting us know that they can accommodate our needs. But we're also going to identify some place to go pick up dinner, because I'm going to assume we're going to leave Thanksgiving dinner not overly stuffed like years past. So manage expectations, make plans for before and after, and you'll have a really good time. Guys, there's enough going on anytime you get together with family and you throw in kids and you throw in new family members that married in and people you know well and you don't know well at all, or you know a little too well. It's gonna get messy, but hopefully you experience a day that's full of love, full of connection to people that matter to you, and even a really good meal. I hope you have a great holiday, and if you have any more questions, send them my way. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm so grateful for you. Thanks. Bye.